Kai'Sa, well, then E-Star isn't playing League of Legends. Kai'Sa's locked in.
There we go. And Udi's going to be locked in for Beishang. So we know this. As that gets locked in, Udi or Lilia, let's be quite honest. You know, some teams have given it away, but this is still a big priority. And just looking at the coaches there, you already talked about it before. We haven't seen this little lower third. You know, Panda's in there too.
Yeah, and again, Green Tea, Domo, two coaches from the LMS, both former players. Again, Green Tea, I want to keep highlighting it, played at the Season 4 World Champion on HQ alongside Westor, who we all know and love, but I wonder where WE are going to go with this next pick, actually bringing back the traditional Xayah pick that we were seeing a lot of before.
Yeah.
And yeah, things are more stock and standard for E-Star now. You expect him to come in with one of those engaged supports. I would expect maybe the Leona rather than the Alistar coming in. It feels like you have more ways to try and pop that Xayah ultimate and, you know, get her out of her comfort zone.
Sure.
And we know we're going to get Gil off. We know.
You know, I was laughing because, as we said, the Twisted Fate coming through from her, we can talk about that in a bit. Laughing because, you know, Rat, you mentioned last game, most played is Xayah. He's really favored it, and I just love the thought of Jomung running it into his Kai'Sa. You know, when Jomung loves the Kai'Sa, it's like, you take away mine, I'll take away yours. On the other side, you know, I just mentioned it there, the global pressure now added, and a lot of teams, the ability to pump up the bottom lane feels really nice, or facilitate Hacker's favorite in that top lane. So a lot of versatility now added with Irma's pick up in the mid lane.
And we're already seeing the two distinctions of these comps, right? E-Star going for a more heavily pick-oriented composition, WE all inning with the team fight. It seems like in these past two series, if Shanks can get his hands onto the Azir, he is going to do it. And now we're looking at top lane bans coming out. So maybe a blind pick top laner on 4 and safe counter pick for support. With the Gnar ban, there isn't really too much that jumps to mind for the side of WE. We still have things like the Gragas and Aatrox open, but to me, I feel like trading supports is just a better option for red side when, again, I feel like we are going to get that handshake of, well, you get Leona, we get Alistar.
Yeah, because if you... Are you saying then that WE can just go ahead and they pick support here because they take away the last option and then they counter pick top?
Yes, I think just pick support here, save counter pick for top. Again, bot lane will be pretty much a wash anyway. And you have Xayah, you're not saying you want to heavily play around your bottom lane matchup anyway.
Okay, you're very smart, Lyric. We just have to remember that because every time I feel like you can't teach me something more in like draft phase and what's going to happen, you just go ahead and impress me. We'll get off of praising you because I think that's enough for today. We've got top laners banned off on both sides now with the Gangplank finishing off for E-Star. You mentioned the support pick here, the trade of Alistar. Let's see if that comes true because that would actually set up for a really nice piece of engage. Udyr, Azir, Alistar's first in. Now we get the prophecy of Jordan Lyric Corby to finish off the draft.
And we do know Xiaoxi plays a lot of weird picks. Xiaoxi can pull out anything. If there is a support who won't just go for that handshake, Xiaoxi is one of them. Xiaoxi's played 2 games of Rakan this split. Xiaoxi has played Shen this split. So, yeah, he can take it anywhere. But in regards to top lane, we do have... I think I want to say something more aggressive, but Morgana is coming out, so they are going to be playing more of an aggressive bot lane. You would expect it to now be some kind of weak side top laner. I don't really want to see the Gragas when you already have so much magic damage, so maybe just put the Aatrox, let it live on its island, and it should do fine.
Gragas, you mentioned you don't want to see it. Because if you see Gragas, what's the option here for Breeze? Do you... Something like Fiora, is that a possibility? Or is it because you've already got...
I think going Fiora could be risky just because you're up against a Twisted Fate, right? You're not going to be able to freely... Ooh, he might still do it. But yeah, the trouble that could come with that is that you aren't just going to be in that isolated 1v1 that you want. Irma can always follow up. Irma can set you behind in the top lane. So, again, I feel like the Aatrox would be the most standard LPL pick that will do fine in the 1v1, and they bring it out.
I was going to say, if it's Sion, you know, it'd be saying, oh, I hope I don't fall asleep. You know, like,
I love Sion, but, I mean, the top lane slap fights really don't get us anywhere.
Yeah, and again, if anyone's wondering why I bring up the Fiora, Breathe is a fantastic Fiora main. He's a great top laner because he has that mechanical skill, but also because he's so versatile. Here on WE, he's shown that, and running into the Aatrox again. Lyric, walk me through what WE want to do, because I see a lot of scaling, and I see, I guess, a non-traditional front to back.
I think for WE, a lot of your early game is just about counteracting what E-Star want to do. You want to set up defensive vision bot side. You want to look to counter a lot of these Twisted Fate ultimate plays coming bot. Maybe if you can preemptively gank and force out a flash, keep heavy vision around mid lane and just prevent that from happening, you're all good. You already throw out the word scaling front to back. It's all straight standard for E-Star when it gets for WE. I'm sorry, when it gets later on in the game. For the side of E-Star, I think it is a bit more interesting because of the Morgana pick, right? I think they do want to play more heavily around their bottom side of the map. They have Gragas. Gragas is going to survive dives. Gragas is going to survive anything. You can throw, nukes at Gragas. He will be fine in that top lane. So it's about going bot, unlocking your Twisted Fate, and I think just starting to unlock the map through bot lane plates and rotating your bottom lane around the map.
I think I love LPL Twisted Fates the most because they're the ones who try to be proactive, and in the LPL, we talk about the first two ultimates of Twisted Fate changing the pace of game for the better or for the worse. Let's see if Irma does that against WE, because this is a tall task. WE took control in that mid game, in game one, and from there on, E-Star didn't stand a chance. They went in with double lift in the bin, right? Not like his career, just like him as a person. Don't take the wrong perception. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. As invade time, it's Morgana, so you're gons to go to the bottom lane and send out a binding.
Yeah, binding plus gold cards, someone will just be dead immediately, though no one from WE is going to walk here, and it doesn't look like they want to really walk into River and try to spot anyone out. They were just hoping maybe Missing walk straight down towards the bottom lane, and they're going to... Oh, actually, they got the ward.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to potentially see very heavy trading coming out level 1 and 2 for the side of E-Star, which we expected anyway with the fact that, like, the lane matchup itself, but I think this signals it even more so.
I'm just excited to see Morgana again, right? Because we know that, like, Morgana gets locked down and Halo Blade's Kai'Sa can easily follow up. We talk about an invade now, actually just seeing one straight forward from Hacker. Going in, Jomong will have the Blast Cone to get on out, but I think E-Star are fully committing to this. They're not backing down.
So we are going to get a split map scenario, it looks like, which means... I mean, E-Star can even try to turn this into a bigger advantage on bot side. Jomong and Missing are going to have to pay a lot of respect to this because, right, Olaf can just come straight down bot, get off a gank, so Jomong and Missing should have to back off, and it should let E-Star bot lane get level 2 first.
Dark Binding, not going to connect onto Missing. I was hoping that he was not going to juke it out. You were talking about this, Lyric. This is where E-Star want to start looking, right? So this is a pretty good split for E-Star, and I think a pretty sound decision to start the game off.
And the question is, I'm trying to figure out if they can realistically stack the wave and try to go for a dive. I think it would be pretty risky. I feel like they would need a lot of heavy trading to come out and get Jomong and Missing quite low. We already saw Jomong trying to contest the wave, but Dark Binding does hit.
Cleanse taken by Jomong as well. That's something important we have to keep track of because of this Morgana pick. I like the summoner choice from Jomong. Also, we do have double teleport on solo laners as usual, so the ability to follow up if something that sporadic happens, Lyric, but it does feel like Hacker's not deciding to. Going back to the other side of his own jungle, we'll just be clearing out the red side now.
It still doesn't matter, though, because Jomong and Missing are being denied so much CS right now. Sure, they're going to pick a lot of it up. Not everything is being killed, but they're being zoned off the wave. Some minions are going down. It will at least turn out into a bit of a CS advantage for the side of Rat and Xiaoxi.
So while that's happening, while that CS denial's going through, what happens for WE on the top side of the map, though? Where's the benefit for Beishang?
There is absolutely none.
Oh.
He really shouldn't be able to find any opportunity in this top lane. Zetas doesn't have a ward, and it looks... Okay, actually, Breathe is contesting the wave. If Breathe was just going to go for last hits, maybe he could have just let it come into him and they could try to set up a gank, but Zetas is actually respecting pretty well, so I don't think WE should be able to find any counterplay on this side of the map.
Which is a really good dynamic, considering that we just talked about Hacker prioritizing ZS up in this top side consistently game in, game out. Beishang actually moving mid. He's ready to flash, and Irma knows that flash bear slap. He can hear Quick Shot in his ears, and Irma paying the tax due means he has to back away.
But this goes to the plan that we laid out for WE, right? It's put pressure mid, blow the flash, try to prevent Irma from being able to make any aggressive plays once he hits that level 6 mark. We're going to see a reset come out for Shank, so Gonna have the Amplifying Tome as well as the Sapphire Crystal as well.
If anyone's played this bottom lane, you know that once Binding goes down, you can start playing aggressively, and Black Shield the same. When that goes down, you can really just find the engage, and Morgana just sits there and presses W. So feels pretty nice to watch Jolmung and Missing step up after that's down, but still the CS lead, the CS discrepancy rather, still against Jolmung and Missing by the tune of about 15 CS, and hence the gold lead should be there. Chat's like, where's the money gone? Actually up into that top side, 10 CS lead there, bit in the jungle, bit in mid too. That's evening out the balance of the gold score.
And it makes sense, right? E-Star devoted their resources into getting their bot side ahead. WE have a fine matchup in the mid lane. Despite, again, Azir being a scaling champion, Azir is able to get Prio and fight for Prio in a lot of matchups. You can see that here, especially with the lethal tempo, where, again, you could proc lethal tempo and then benefit from that attack speed on attacking the minion wave as well. So he's able to do it. And then Aatrox against Gragas, it is going to be a bit of a wash, but Aatrox will have more pressure fighting in this lane.
You've talked about, you know, what Gragas does in lane quite a lot, that his bases are quite nice, and when he gets 6, you know, he does have quite a bit of burst for a tank top laner who, you know, will build tier most times, even going tank, just to get that sustained. So we can watch as we get towards that 6 point up in the top lane, but I want to watch bot, because Dark Binding connects. Bit of damage onto Missing, but Rat won't step up. Jolmung does the same. He hits lethal tempo. Hacker spotted out as Dragon's going down. The Blade Caller doesn't work. Xiaoxi flashes for a melee binding. Missing in trouble. First blood goes down. Hacker now has to get out of there. This could be a slammer as Breather's like, no. Laughs it out. ZS joins in. Beisheng hits up the Dragon, but loses his bottom lane support.
I love the cheeky Dragon sneak coming up from Beisheng. He's like, hey, Missing, you're going to go down. It doesn't mean too much. Shanks is here, though. Irma has Destiny.
And it's World Ender. Hacker doesn't have himself a savior in the Ragnarok. Flash here from Shanks. Hits on down onto Gragas. E-Star want to get out of this situation, but Rat won't survive. Shanks picks up the kill, and it's all gone pear-shaped for E-Star.
I'm really surprised that E-Star didn't anticipate this because, you know, Shanks was missing from mid for quite a long time. Irma's catching the wave under his turret. I don't think that E-Star should necessarily look for the counterplay in this situation with bringing Irma down. It is an option. They could have done it, but it did look like Irma just wanted to farm his wave and back off. Again, I'm not sure why the other members of E-Star weren't on the same page, and they get punished. We see here, Shanks is now showing on a ward. The World Ender comes out for Breathe. Really nice flash into his, looked like his second Q, and they're just able to keep going and finish off a lot of these targets.
You know, the crazy thing there is if you have Ragnarok and the damage, you can probably take 1 or 2 down with you as well for E-Star. Wouldn't have been as bad, and Hacker may have been able to turn the play, but at the very least, we won't find that answer, and that's a what if. Because what really happened was Beisheng picking up the kill, Breathe in now with a kill as well, and Shanks the exact same, so about a 500 gold lead, all said and done.
I liked your interesting fact just now, and I'll answer you with another interesting fact. You know the corners of Aatrox's Q hitbox are actually like slightly larger than if you use your Q like straight up, like straight in front of someone. Yeah.
Okay.
So is Akali's Q.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of hitboxes that don't make sense. Nautilus. Nautilus's hitbox is like you hit straight ahead and you hit someone, you know, over at a Kmart. You know, back where I live in Australia. That's how nasty it is.
I think Blitzcrank's messes with me, not because it's like longer than the animation, but it's like shorter than his fist animation.
Destiny being used. Missing engages so that he sends Xiaoxi away. That Destiny pulls Irma out of lane while Shanks is still there.
That was really awkward. It looked like Irma didn't want to follow through with it, but it's like, man, I just used the cooldown. I feel like I just need to go in, and then goes and they get nothing for it. I do like how aggressively Xiaoxi's playing this Morgana, though. He's walking straight up. He might be punished for it right now, but consistently walking forward, looking for these aggressive bindings.
And look at what WE getting on the other side of the map. Herald's going to be picked up down, and while the map is kind of reset to a stable state, Beisheng definitely coming out ahead. He picked up the first Dragon. Now he has the Herald, and Hacker keeps trying to abuse this lane. But Missing with the disengage, that's always the threat. Xiaoxi has to hit the binding.
He is looking for it. WE's bot lane isn't quite low enough, but Missing doesn't have ultimate. If Missing did have ultimate, I think this play would be very unrealistic. But hey, it looks like Shanks is coming as well. Shanks is hovering.
He is. Cleanse has been used, though, in the meantime with the Dark Binding connecting here onto Jolmung, and Shanks goes back to lane, so I guess you get a summoner that feels good. Hacker will also be picking up the Scuttle Crab here, so it's not an absolute nothing trade, but Xiaoxi wants to try it again.
I want to highlight, though, that's very good communication coming out from the side of WE. The fact that we're seeing this like push and pull, this weave in and out between mid and bot for Shanks. Shanks is consistently covering his bot lane. Doesn't even need to fully walk down there, right? If he just goes into Fog of War and abuses, like the terrain on the map, the enemy not being able to see him, he is putting down pressure for WE.
And the great thing is, if this continues, I mean, Irma's Destiny is going to be up around the same time as Teleport. I think Teleport could actually be up for Shanks a bit before, so Shanks has the ability to join and stay in the lane, but you talked about the hovering. He's doing it again, moving with Bei Sheng, trying to get some bottom side control a minute before this dragon spawn. So WE, there's a rhyme and a reason to what they're doing, and trying to set themselves up for this second objective to continue control of this early game.
Luckily for the side of Eastar, they do have the bot side scuttle, so they can call Shanks' bluff a little bit. When they were looking for the dive, it's a bit more risky because Shanks can be walking around his own jungle. But when both bot lanes are fighting for the wave neutrally, they know he's not actually making his way down. We do see resets be matched from both bot lanes, but actually Xiaoxi's going to be here first.
Gold card coming in. Actually, Shanks caught out in the meantime. There's the Emperor's Divide, shifting sands away. Bei Sheng was playing interference, and that was a close call. Shanks didn't have his flash either, so he could have died and will have to back away and maybe teleport back in to play the defense.
And think about it, that was only about a 2-second tempo advantage for Xiaoxi. He got there slightly ahead of Missing, but it was enough for them to find the chunk. Yeah. One great thing about Eastar's comp is just as a really nice CC chain, point and click gold card into binding or into a body slam. You have a very easy way of locking targets down and then bursting them out. That is the name of the game for Eastar. That is the name of the game for a pick comp in general.
That's a Destiny. They're actually diving Shanks. He teleported in to die. Shifting Sands gets him away. Rat takes a turret shot. And you know what? Is this worth? Well, flash on top from Bei Sheng. Rat will drop down. Irma flashes as well. Jolmung doesn't have his summer until he burns it down. Onto Xiaoxi. Won't get the root call of the Black Shield not being used. The feathers fly. Onto Xiaoxi. A bit more autos needed. Bei Sheng wants to chase it down, but I think Eastar are out for now. Missing can't change the fate, and that was a close call, but a 1-for-1 in the end.
That didn't work out. I don't know if it was the best idea to use your flash and ultimate that aggressive. Oh, they want to keep going, though.
Here we go. Question mark. Is it Mario time? Breeze,
he has Ragnarok. He has Ghost. I think it's a good idea to back off, but yeah, Jolmung wasting some summoners. I do like how aggressively he's playing it, but these teams are just going tit for tat.
The road goes on forever, and the party never ends. Like, Breathe is in a pretty good position. Missing's going to help him out. This is Aatrox, and Aatrox needs a bit of a hand. He flashes away. Missing picks up the kill, healed up by Breathe. Irma's still without his flash that was burnt just before. Missing ready to re-engage if it costs his life. We saw that in game number 1, but it stops here for now. I'm sorry, I don't know if that was Willie Nelson or not.
ZS missed his body slam when he TP'd in to an Aatrox that was right next to him.
Yeah, well, a lot happened. Lyric, are you ready? Where's the replay?
Hey, Shanks, though, getting a bunch of gold. And, I mean, this is just WE consistently winning, I'd say, in pretty much every position, right? They're winning out in skirmishes. They're answering the plays that Eastar are making. They've actually been doing what we said, like, hey, putting pressure mid, hovering around your bot side. Shanks has been doing amazingly at that. Now they're also taking advantage of some of the aggressive plays and counter actions Eastar are making, and they're just funneling more golden experience on Shanks. Look, he now has a 24 CS lead.
Yeah. He's quite large considering what we just saw with Shanks teleporting into his demise. It's been a pretty exciting game considering that. I'm not sure how you would explain it, you know. If you tried to explain this to someone on their deathbed, I think you'd get through one sentence and someone would pass away out of shock. And that's pretty much how the feeling has been so far here in this early game as Rat's pushing up once again. This is a turret plate for the taking. That'll get him a bit of gold. This was the highlight for Eastar. The bottom lane was what we all mentioned was the focus here for this team. And even after the vertical jungle, with the way that Jolmung and Missing have played the weak side of the map, W are in a really good position.
You know, Asterix, we've had some games today that were siestas, but this game has not been one of them.
It's been a fiesta, right? No one's fallen asleep for this one.
It's not like completely a fiesta, but it's, you know, it's entertaining. It's interesting. It has the flair. And once again, WR is just taking free plates and getting free minions on the top side of the map. I don't know how it keeps happening, but it does.
Breather just doesn't have an opponent a lot of these times. He's up 20 CS himself. He has Gold Drinker now, by the way, as well. This turret about to go down. So eStar have the opportunity for first turret blood, but let's have a look top.
Yeah, W are the ones opting into this, right? We saw their bot lane recall. We see their bot lane heading mid. This is a very conscious choice to take top Tysteric's first blood turret. Doesn't mean anything.
It does.
It's about the tempo. It's about the map control. It's about what you're going to do next.
Hey.
And what are W doing next? They're getting Rift Herald.
That's true. You're right. You know, I'm all about that cash money, man. You know, I think about profit. So this is more profit. You're right. You know, you get the Herald. There's no Dragon up available on the bottom side of the map.
I know you're a bit of a zoomer in the esports world, but did you ever watch that G2 hype video from like all the years ago where, again, they got me for the vacation at MSI, where I just remember it's like a gangster rap like hype video, and it's like Trick, it's Sven, they're just like throwing money everywhere, Mithy. It's a super, like super cash money, super gangster. It was amazing. If you haven't seen it after this cast, I need to send it to you.
What year was that?
Oh, I don't even know, man. All the years just blend together.
Yeah,
2016, maybe? I'm sure
my
chat
God.
knows, but I don't have chat, so, you know, we'll find out afterwards.
Yeah. You know, maybe one of our mods could link it in the chat for a special request, because I want to see it as well. Maybe after the game, you're right. But, you know, I remember, I think my first year of esports was 2015. And I remember the year before watching Royal Club and Samsung White and thinking, wow, Korea's good at League of Legends.
So then you remember Green Tea. Should remember Green Tea.
Well, I wasn't watching much League of Legends back then. I was stuck to MapleStory, bro. I had an addiction, you know?
Hey,
and I'm happy I admit it here today.
Speaking of MapleStory addictions, we're getting some action.
Yeah, just like MapleStory, you're right. We're grinding this out. That's a good Destiny onto missing. The binding connects. He's just dead. He couldn't move, and that's a sacrifice for WE as they cut it out nicely the first time, but he's stuck. Come in for the pick.
Yeah, missing, obviously having faith in his mechanics because he was just trying to weave and dodge the bindings, but he did have his flash available, just didn't think he did need it. I'm not sure when he popped his ultimate, if he did just pop it too early, but yeah, I mean, they were the ones posturing for an engage, so that could be what his thought process was there. And now it's eStar who have transitioned into this 1-3-1. They don't really have any globals to play around right now, so right now they are just collecting gold on the side lanes.
Feels like the next couple of moments without that Destiny is going to be quite slow. Note we have an Infernal Soul. We haven't talked about it too much, but 3 dragons apiece needed for each of these teams. And I'm not going to talk about which team Infernal Dragon's going to be better for. Let's be quite honest. It's an Infernal Dragon. It's a good dragon. So we'll head towards that for the game. And at the very least, I'm just looking at the board lyric. Once again, I think both these teams have a decent sized Baron. But WE, pretty fast with the Azir and Xayah, if that ever becomes a reality.
Yeah. The WE's Baron definitely way faster than the side of eStar, right? You only have one champion who really burns Baron quickly, which is the Kai'Sa. You have a Gragas, a TF, a Morgana who all do nothing, and then, you know, Olaf and Udyr are pretty similar to where Azir plus 80 carry on the opposite side, you just absolutely shred that thing, and we've been seeing it all day when the team has champions that can shred Baron. They've just been jumping on it around the 20-minute mark. I don't know if WE will do that or if they'll need to do that with the positions they've been able to find in this game, but it's definitely been quite interesting. Another thing that's interesting is we see ZS going the Night Harvester on his Gragas, which, you know, again, it is one of the options available, but I feel like we a lot more commonly see the tank Gragas these days, but instead going for more burst damage and obviously more movement speed. He has the phase rush, throw off his 3 abilities, and then get out of there, so it can be quite a hindrance, but that means all of eStar's comp is squishy. Every single member. No tanks.
Jomung caught out. Gold Carp being locked down. Jomung does a lot of damage, though. It turns onto Irma, who takes the Black Shield, and Beisheng managed to get out of there as well. That was a double TP used. Breather's now joined the fray as, you know what? Irma and ZS still have their teleports. I think WE really got scared there.
And this is what eStar's comp want to do, right? We said, hey, they want to move them around the map, pull them around the map, use their global advantages, use the side lanes, and they're doing that. Now, the thing they don't want to do is they don't want to take a 5v5. So I don't have too much confidence in them in this one, but Jomung has no ultimate. That could be enough to inch it in eStar's favor.
And he used the cleanse in the last fight as well. Blue buff gets stolen away by Hacker as Breed now into the World Ender. ZS at half health. WE have the HP bar advantage, and Summoner's being burnt across the board. Beisheng absorbs the damage, and Isar might have to forfeit this one. They've waited for Bree's ulti to time out. Noma with the gold card needs to connect on a crucial target.
The thing, though, is you start baiting a lot of the key abilities out from WE, right? We now have 2 ultimates down for the side of WE to where every combat ultimate is up for E-Star. Sure, they don't have Destiny, but they don't need Destiny anymore. And WE realized that and say, hey, we can't take this fight. World Ender's down, Xayah ultimate's down. We don't want to look for this, and they give it over to E-Star. So E-Star effectively using their pick tools and their globals effectively to pull WE around the map and also bait out a lot of these key abilities so they don't have to just straight up 5v5 WE.
You know what's really important here is the fact that I just thought of the best Gragas skin, because we're going to go to a bit of a lull again. So I think the skin that needs to be made for Gragas next is Donkey Kong Gragas. You remember the old school Mario where,
yes,
you know, that do. Yeah. So Donkey Kong Gragas would literally throw like the Mario barrels. Man, that thing would be great. And maybe like, you know, when he ultis, you see he's like holding peaches. Okay, well, Shanks has now found Irma. He doesn't have the Destiny. Oh, he actually does to get away. Can he in time, though? Stun comes through, and yep, down he goes. WE can pick up their own.
And WE, they didn't have resets come out to where E-Star did. So they just used the fact that, hey, we're already on the map. We're going to transition this pressure towards topside. They find the pick in the gank. But it does give this opening for E-Star in mid lane, and they actually can start transitioning into WE's topside jungle for Vision. But with Hacker not on the map, they decide against it.
Do you like the skin or not?
I like the skin, but it's just since it won't happen, I don't want to get excited for the skin.
Okay, it's probably copyright. I don't think League of Legends is willing to pay... who owns Donkey? Does Niantic own Donkey Kong, or is that just Pokemon? I'm not sure. Let's just say Nintendo.
Yeah.
Nintendo.
Is it not? Is it not Nintendo?
No, you're right. It is Nintendo. I don't know why I said Niantic. You know, I'm just thinking of Pokemon, but yeah, probably gonna get copyright for that. I forgot the actor in Now You See Me. Maybe that's a Twisted Fate skin. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a slow game. You can't fault me for having a bit of a ball and, you know, going for it. Put my skin ideas out there. This is a great forum, as WE is still going to get the mid turret. So after all said and done, the resets work out in their favor. Now we farm again.
I do hear that the skin team pretty much only watch LPL. Only LPL. Every single game. Okay. Even days like this where, you know, this might be more of a day for our hardcore niche viewers, the people we love out there, though we love everyone. E-Star versus WE, I'm sure the skin team are tuning in right now.
Trying to think of other movie references, but I'll let you know when I come up with it. All I know is Udi needs a bit of a rework, let's be honest.
I don't
know,
watch
that
movies.
Champion... Dude, without Spirit Guard Udi, he's not a real champion. He's practically a different champion entirely when he has that skin on, so... As an Udi player, I can't wait for that rework to come through.
WE are looking to get river control. They should be able to turn... Oh, Chelsea knows, though, and, I mean, that doesn't do anything. It just kind of says hello, and WE will always be able to get mid control if they just overload the mid wave. For E-Star's about letting WE show on the side lanes, which they are kind of doing right now with Jomung, but no one's showing bot. This is the window where E-Star would want to make something happen and look for one of these picks with the Destiny and the Morgana. It looks like they're posturing for that, but WE respect it. WE know, hey, their only window is when Xayah and Aatrox are showing on the side waves, and they don't give them that window.
Like this, Jomung, is he going to be called out? Destiny's actually just used to one of those side waves, and he'll now be spotted out, so WE can alleviate some of the stress. I note that with the rapid fire cannon as well, super easy with that Destiny. Get that range and just essentially gold card from afar.
It's weird because, yeah, you pretty much turn into a primary initiator. You don't even need the Destiny, right? Just even being able to walk in auto range to throw out that gold card.
Everfrost there too as well, right? This has been a pretty... what was the other choice we actually saw from Mythics? Because we've seen Everfrost,
it used to be Rocket Belt, right? We would primarily see Rocket Belt, but yeah, we're definitely seeing... We're seeing more variety. I still think we see some Rocket Belt, but definitely a lot of people inching into the Everfrost camp as well.
Close call there with the binding to connect. Shanks comes out with the poke, and now we're A-ramming. Let's go. We're going to sit here for a little bit, and I'm not sure if this is an actual back from ZS. At the very least, WE are committing to staying mid for the time being because it's 35 seconds till Dragon.
This definitely benefits WE, though. For eStar, they need to burst someone out if they do want to win a team fight.
And we push out the wave, we back away. Bei Sheng has flash, he's ready to flash the slap, and there's the Sun Turret. Okay, round 2, and this time ARAM gets a bit smaller.
I mean, eStar can't ARAM. They have no front line. ARAM does not, I mean, think about those ARAMs you get where the enemy team has tanks, you don't have tanks. It's so hard. It is so hard the longer the game goes. That's what eStar will be feeling now.
You say they can't ARAM, but they're still here at the very least. They're still pushing up, and they're still trying to get a piece of WE. Kelsey throws out the binding again.
If they hit that binding on Shanks, right, Shanks is just dead. The problem is if you hit a binding on someone like Missing, and then WE just decide, hey, we're just going to turn on you and engage, then that's when eStar out of options.
And Butcher's Bridge ends. We go into another part of the map. Well, Binding almost connects onto the Dragon. It's secured as Missing wants to get the engage. Everfrost, nice from Irma, but the re-engage still there. Black Shield, perfect timing as Bei Sheng goes in. But the headbutt pulverized. You know what? WE get the wombo. Now all they need is the combo. Bei Sheng lives, and so does Jomong on the back end. Shanks too. They all survive, and Easter are sent packing.
I love it. WE were extremely patient. Will Rat get it? Oh, Rat does get it. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. It didn't matter. It's cool. Yeah. They don't have a smite now. They are low. Maybe they have to back off the spare, but
I don't think they have the health for it, Lyric.
Yes, they do. They got it. They're good.
Well, Missy's gonna die.
Oh my God, they're not
Lyric.
Good.
I mean,
they're good.
They're close. Shifting sands. Okay. Baron goes down, and yeah, WE, they win it out. That was an interesting fight after we just experienced ARAM for 2 minutes.
Well, WE were extremely patient, which is what I liked, right? They get the Dragon, they let eStar miss their abilities, and right there, Breathe and Missing comboing in at the same time. Missing especially knocking up numerous members, setting up for Breathe right there as well. Jomong now giving room to pop off. Bei Sheng able to run forward, so it was a really nice combo coming out from the top in support, and this is why we talk about WE and why we expected them to do well early in the split, because they're one of the most complete teams in the league. I feel like every position is playing, at least on paper, is pretty decent, right? Their bot lane was good before. They've been playing pretty decently. Their whole top side's been popping off. Shanks is doing fine to good as well. And then in terms of like how they play the game, I think it's, again, one of the most least chaotic, might be a good way of putting it.
Okay. I mean, I agree with that. At the very least, they've been one of the most fun teams to watch, I think, in my opinion. You know, when you see a jungler that demands that kind of respect, when you see a team being able to play around him, feels really nice. I want to just kind of interject this point, because what our audience didn't see was the fact that Jomong's done 33% of the team's damage this game, and maybe, I don't think Breathe is you know, I don't think he's in trouble. Jomong's done 33% of the damage, yet he's 0-0-5. So adding a lot to this WE lineup despite the scoreline.
And that's always been Jomong, right? Jomong's always been one of those AD carries where he will pretty much every game put out about 30% of his team's damage. But again, like half of those games, or this split may have been a bit more than half, he does get caught out. He does take too aggressive positions in team fights and just die as I be quiet because nothing
They just ignore him.
Yeah.
ZS is on the wrong side of the rift, and the rest of WE are going to walk it down mid. Easter, their Twisted Feint, Irma, I believe, had to disappear, and look at this.
Hey, think about it. He has Night Harvester and he has Phase Rush. He just keeps proccing his abilities and keeps getting more movement speed.
This is how you lose weight. Get a bear to chase you, and it feels like we're talking about Russia or something, as ZS will get stunned a second time here. I don't know how quickly he's going to die, but Body Slam not going to connect it. The Observer having a great time. Over the wall, Bei Sheng doesn't have flash, but the chasing will continue. I can guarantee that. While meanwhile, WE are going to push onto the inhibitor turret.
And I mean,
it's still happening.
Oh, WE are fine. They can go for this.
There's the engage. I mean, Breed just gets two-man knock up, and this is how WE want to end the series. Lyric going golden in the perfect statue pose. Look at the top side, though. Bei Sheng still chasing him. ZS is still alive. Observer, take us there. This is still going on. Bei Sheng actually almost dying as ZS is out of mana. He's stunned up, and finally, a minute later.
I just want to say, between the Scion earlier and that Gragas. It's been a great day.
God. And now it's 3 versus 4. Shank's actually getting stunned up. Jomong's still alive though. Missing trying to help him out. This Zaya gets the root down with the feathers flying. Rat should be able to clean this one up, but at the end, Jomong, will he care? Cleanses there. Root comes through. Not onto Rat though, who gets the shutdown, and WE may be sticking around too long.
Let's be honest. There's some shenanigans going on right now. Was this past 2 minutes the most serious League of Legends coming out from WE or even E-Star? Probably not. But E-Star do get a bit of gold back. They are still like 6,000-7,000 behind, but you know, we are unbiased journalistic casters who just tell the facts.
We're not journalistic.
That's
Probably.
true. We're not at all.
No, bro. Let's you know, I have respect for journalists in esports, but if we're talking mainstream media, let's be honest, journalists. Yeah. Why? What? I gotta find out. TCL. I don't know if we're paying homage to the Turkish league.
Hey, Dragon is up hysterics. We focus on this fight.
Yes,
Destiny comes out.
You're definitely the father. Thank you very much. As Destiny comes in, up. There's a rapid fire cannon at work. The barrel zones him out. Can't get the steal in. But Beishong wants to end the game here. Into the Ragnarok. Black Shield on top of him as well. Shakes out, joins the fray. Missing with a Hextech Kerber Turbo take. Holy crap, that name's hard to say to team fighters. In for the engage, and ZS is dead immediately. Beishong on the chase. ZS forced the Black Shield. Beishong is going to run. Wait, we're not yet to the stun. His follow-up still at the ready. There's nothing really available. He's a fast bear. And WE are going to start pushing the wave into the base.
And WE just going to pivot towards this bottom lane inhibitor. They do have all 5 men here. Health bars might be low, but I still think with this, they would be able to take a fight if they wanted to, but it looks like they are just going to back off. Baron is coming up soon, so we expect to see WE get those resets off and turn towards getting control of Vision topside. But if you look on the map, E-Star already had some pings towards their top lane as well.
Maybe instead of Turbo Chem Tank, I should just say Peepo Run, or I should put in like the Chase. We're gonna find a different name for it. Singed Ult, essentially. There's a teleport. Well, Zed.
That's
He
the second
flashes
one.
and he tries to body slam.
That's the second one this game, I'm telling you.
Oh man, I don't know. I remember saying this about ZS, and I'll stand true. ZS's Gragas is not good. I've said this in a different series, and he's played the exact same performance as we're seeing in front of us now. He's going to miss that flash, especially when this could be the last fight in front of Baron. WE still hold the gold lead and missing on the flank. Baron has spawned, and WE are moving into position. As missing. Three-man headbutt pulverized. You know what? Shalcy's just dead. They didn't see him coming. It wasn't warded up, and E-Star might be dead before the Baron could go down. ZS has no flash, remember. Burnt by Breathe. He goes golden. You know what? This Aatrox is going to take you down to hell. WE pick up yet another one. Missing somehow survives. ZS lucky to survive himself. But there's Baron, and Destiny going to be used to clear up mid.
That red card was extremely close to killing Missing, probably at less than 50 HP, but ultimately, WE win the fight, WE get the Baron, the game is still going the way we would expect. It is a bit sloppier, it is taking a bit longer than we'd perceive, but hey, for WE now, get off your resets on your low HP members, push out the top lane, take that topside turret, break open the base completely, and then you're just choking E-Star out at this point. Waves are going to be crashing around similar times because we do have super minions in various lanes. Now you have Baron buff as well, so it is just a matter of time for the victory for WE. I was going to go negative for E-Star, but we're just going to say the victory for WE.
Yeah, because I mean, WE, deserve it for sure, right? Like, WE have been the cleaner team throughout the whole series. And
I also, just real quick, want to hit on your ZS point, because you're right. ZS Gragas not the play, but we also need to give context for viewers, as we see Missing hitting a sick Alistar ultimate, but that's pretty much the end of that. E-Star cannot team fight them in these fights. We are going to see Missing get down extremely low, and on the opposite end, we do see Breathe doing a bit of work. They keep going in, and ultimately he is able to take down Udyr with what I think was probably the Collector as well. So, but yeah, going back to your point on ZS, for any fans who, again, don't watch E-Star too often, ZS has mainly been more of like a fighter or carry top laner. His most played is Renekton. He's played the Ken in this split. He's played the Camille. He's played the Jace. He has games on Volibear and Gnar, so not much of our like standard tank player. He has played Ornn and he has played Gragas, but not as much as he plays fighters and carry champions.
Yeah, ZS is someone who, again, we talked about Hacker having to pay attention to kind of cover up the weakness of E-Star. You know, Irma's been playing well, Rat and Xiaoxi have been that late game insurance policy. Hacker still is that, you know, middling jungler who has been good on E-Star, but ZS feels like one of the big weaknesses right now is in for the fray. Jolmung's there. And Beisheng hasn't popped the Peepo run just yet, holding onto it, so is Missing, but everyone here now for the ultimate with the Ragnarok. Beisheng running away himself, Missing, actually doing the same. Destiny was used, but Breathe is still mid. I'm not sure Irma's actually gone anywhere with it, and WE will just bring the next wave in.
Yeah, now WE are actually bringing in their waves at the same time.
Missing in,
coordination.
That's the Peepo run immediately. Rat has to go back with the Killer Instinct. Breathe is into the front lines immediately. Hacker gets knocked up, survives a long time actually, and it's a trade 1-for-1. Shanks goes down.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Shanks got caught out by Xiaoxi or if Shanks went for a big like Shurima shuffle play, because you look at where his body died, he actually got pretty deep into like the trenches against E-Star.
And now with the mid laner down, I mean, that just stops the end of the game. WE will go towards that Infernal. It's not the soul for them as E-Star picked up the last one, but the game going on longer and longer, I know, you know, scaling out of the question, but still, WE, that's the second time they've gone too far.
This game, Hysterics, everything except. Which leads me to a question. Actually, I don't have a question for you. Here's a statement. Did you know I watched Aquaman for the first time the other day?
Because it just came on Netflix, of course, where we are at the moment. Yeah. Why?
Yeah, but this is interesting.
If I look like Jason, what's his name? Mimosa.
Momoa?
Okay, I'm sorry, Momoa is probably right. I don't mean any disrespect. I actually forgot the last name. If I looked like him, man, I'd eat cheese off my abs every day. Honestly.
I shouldn't have pivoted the conversation. Let's go back to the game. The fans don't want to hear this. We have Lich Bane coming out for. I think Twisted Fate's had Lich Bane for a while. Oblivion Orb coming out. We're getting red buffs. I'm sorry, guys.
Actually have to look at his last name. Lyric, cover me. Going in.
Okay, so we see WE aggressively turning towards their bot lane. They are coordinating waves in mid and top. Wards are everywhere. Minions are consistently dying. Will WE go for the engage? Hysterics will tell us right now.
I will tell you that this is WE's chance to lose the game. If things are like we saw before go on. Beisheng waiting once again, going up to the inhib, explosive cast used. Missing, still holding onto the engage, and you know what? This time around, Beisheng gets the stun, runs back, and this is kind of a slow burn. E-Star still holding off nicely, and Shanks with the DPS needs to be quite true. Nexus turret's quite low as well, Lyric, so all it takes is one more push, and they've got to coordinate the waves.
There's been like two things I think keeping E-Star in this game. One, Xiaoxi's been incredibly on point with these bindings, and two, now that they're in their base, it's very hard for W to find a really good angle for engage, right? Like they can't bring Breathe in. Ooh.
That's explosive cast used. Breathe goes into the World Ender as well. Missing sets out with the barn fences. Comes in Beisheng once more. The Peepo run to get him back into play. Shanks with the disengage. Rat trying to carry himself. He gets low, almost to take one member with him. Rat playing so well. He's trying to jam it, but it's so damn close as Irma now with the Destiny into the back line. Jolmung flashes on forward. No cooldown here for Irma. And finally, but surely, WE on top of the Nexus. Explosive cast was close itself. And WE with a long drawn out second game to make it a 2-0.
Yeah, and the thing is, when we got to the point where E-Star were able to just tunnel in their base, we're not able to see the same plays that we saw early on in the game, right? Where it's about like Missing plus Breathe coming in at a flanking angle and able to find good positions on the carries, right? E-Star will always know, okay, WE are right in front of me. So they can throw out their, like the gold card from Twisted Fate with the rapid fire cannon, they can throw out the bindings, which Xiaoxi was hitting pretty often, and they can chunk out some of these members and force out, again, the World Ender before any of these fights can happen. WE's comp was still stronger. If fights did happen, they should be able to come out ahead, but it was much more annoying to be able to close out the game.
A game that WE, you know, like, we were just like, yeah, we're done with it. We know we've won. And E-Star, you know, held their ground quite nicely. And we've seen good elements of E-Star. We've definitely seen, you know, I think in that game one as well, before mid-game was taken and blown out so much. We've seen that E-Star in the early game are really good with decision-making. I think this time around, though, when the map was split, we saw that Missing and Jolmung were like an island that wasn't hit as hard as E-Star wanted to.
It definitely wasn't, and I feel like that's still the way to punish WE, is to just exploit their bot lane, exploit Missing's recent form, exploit the mistakes coming out from Jolmung. It's really quick, though, because I really like what we just saw on screen. It looks like Irma trying to console his teammates, like, hey, like, we can bounce back. Really cool to see coming out from teams who are struggling extremely heavily, right? E-Star aren't in a good position, but, like, the problem with E-Star is there is some talent on this team that you can either probably retool in other rosters or give more time to build around. But, again, whether it's like fundamental issues in terms of like team culture or like their macro and shot calling not being on point, there are clear skill and like mechanical problems with certain players of this team. But there are pieces who I think on certain champions are definitely impressive and with time can be better, right? We've already highlighted Xiaoxi, we've highlighted Irma. I think Rad is still a bit of a question mark, but definitely the top side of E-Star, I think, is needs to step up for sure.
Yeah, ZS can be exploited, and Hacker, feels like he has a hard time if he leaves top lane on an island. This game for me was, even though like it was expected to be a bit of a blowout, I think for E-Star holding their ground at the end of the second game, parts of game one was a nice touch, but again, we return to what WE are as a team. Right now, they're 7-3. After that win, they're sitting, in the top 4. WE are meant to be a powerhouse of a team, and they need to continue acting like it. So we can scrutinize that WE didn't, clear out the second game fast enough. But at the end of the day, against some of the lower tier teams, I don't think you criticize WE much because, what was their prep on this team in comparison to what they did for FPX or what they'll do for EDG Top Esports towards the end of the split.
And, one thing we can talk about as well, which I guess we can get into that later. I was going to talk about strength of schedule for WE, but, let's first of all speculate on MVP for this game, because that's always fun. And that leads us to talking about how good players performed. And I feel like it will probably be Jolmung would be my guess. Again, Jolmung you highlighted like Jolmung's damage percent. He was still doing quite well in these team fights. He had a lot of good ultimates. He did use his Featherstorm on ZS's Cask quite a bit. I don't think ZS's Cask a lot of time would have killed him, but at least avoiding that like potential engage coming out.
Yeah, I would say that like, there's a chance that Beisheng might get it as well. I don't know.
Missing did have some really good headbutt pulverizers.
Oh, he did.
Game, though.
Shanks, before he, died in that play, he had some really good ultis too. So it's
we can't highlight everyone as Sterix.
Yeah, what about Breathe, man?
Is this American education system? Are we giving participation awards?
Bro, that happens to Australians as well. I used to come last in the running race. They gave me a participation award when I asked my parents about it. Man, any kid asking their parents about, what is a participation award?
We've had this conversation on this before.
Have we? Oh, I don't agree with it. Only winners get medals. Top 10. So.
Yeah. But, so we've highlighted for E-Star some changes to be made. It feels like there definitely needs to be some stepping up on top side. There are some pieces to build around. For WE, I think it's pretty smooth sailing. And I guess I'll just talk about that point right now anyway, actually, is that their schedule is incredibly easy going forward. They have LGD, they have OMG, they play against Suning and BLG, who aren't, anything special right now. And then their only hard game left is their last series of the LPL. It's against EDG. So they get a few weeks to try to like power up, and then they get the final boss.
But then they get Top Esports, right? So even though Top Esports are like, we're questioning where they are as a team right now. Let's remember they're 4-3, so they are in that top 8 right now. Just above IG. So if Top Esports have a better schedule as well, like that last week for WE could be really exciting. If Top Esports climb up, if EDG is still doing well, we get a WE that could be in the top 3, facing off against an EDG in that form, facing off a better Top Esports. That final week is really, really good to show us who could be the best team in the LPL. So WE can contend with that if they perform well against the bottom tier teams and get those 2-0s that would lead them up the charts.
Yeah, I think that's the main talking point, though, right? It's that WE now, not saying anyone's a free win, right? Because definitely teams like Suning, even LGD now that they have like their full roster, BLG, these teams can definitely beat WE. Heck, WE just came off of a 3-series losing streak not that long ago as well. So again, anything's possible, but this should be where WE has time to explore more strategies, try out more picks, like figure out if they want to index their identity into any specific area before we get into those final weeks, before you need to start taking things like very seriously for, hey, playoffs are coming up. We want to be split champions. So this is where I hope WE keeps trying to try out more things.
You know what's funny on the other side is that E-Star schedule's the complete opposite. They've just had WE, they have Top Esports, they have Rare Atom, JDG, RNG. LGD's the easiest matchup, then they go back to week 9, EDG, and Suiting to finish off the split. So E-Stars have just gone through the easier, quote-unquote, schedule. They now have to fight against the top tier of the LPL. So good luck to E-Star. It'll be a real challenge. And in a very serious note, I think this team is fun to watch developmentally, right? Because they're a team that can challenge some of these top tier teams, maybe take a game here and there and a surprise win. But this will be a good learning curve for them.
Definitely will. And we do finally know who the MVP is, Hysterics.
Who is it?
And, you know, I wasn't right the first time, but I realized it with my second guess. Missing is the MVP. Again, some really nice headbutt pulverizes coming out from him this game. Even just some good headbutts coming out, keeping some of the enemies away off of his AD carry. It is nice to see when Missing has a good performance. And I'd say well-deserved.
17 control awards. I mean, that's a really nice number. I know anyone who's a support main will kind of respect the stats here that, you know, we had a game where W didn't have to clear too many wards because they got control early on and started to kind of dominate the game from 20 or so minutes in. And but those are really good scores. And the headbutt pulverize, the combinations here from this support Alistar is what put W in a really good position.
And let's remember that, you know, he's been on the team the longest of this current WE. Actually, yeah, he's been here since, I believe it is 2018 summer. Hysterics, you're the historian, correct?
Yeah. I even think before, I think 2017 he was on the roster but didn't play much. That was when we had Mystic and Missing at one point, but I think that was 2018, you're right. Zero was on there before. So I think Missing was either on the backbench or he joined in 2018 to correct. But you're right. You know, Missing is the player that's now been there for the longest time. Beisheng joining in 2019, and he's a cornerstone of WE and how the developments come through. And honestly, I think Missing in form is a top 2, top 3 support. I will die on that hill because Missing of how good he's played in the past couple of years.
I was going to say, if we're looking at recent form, I definitely don't think Missing's in the conversation. Oh, no. But if we're looking at the past year, Missing was definitely one of those best supports in 2020. And, you know, Hysterics, we have an interview if you want to, you know, tee that one up.
And you know what? It's Beisheng. So I hope Wendy's got some